So, have you ever looked forward to something, like anything, and it just doesn't live up to your expectations? It could be a movie, a show, a game, whatever. Just you've been looking forward to something, and it ended up not being good. I've had a lot of those experiences, but probably the biggest one for me, one of the first at least, was Cartoon Network PunchTime Explosion. I had two loves as a kid, and nowadays, if you've been paying attention to my channel, being Smash Bros. And cartoons. So seeing a Smash Bros. Inspired game with Cartoon Network characters, it's like a match made in heaven for me. How could this not be good? Well, somehow they found a way, I guess. The original Cartoon Network PunchTime Explosion wasn't the worst game ever made. It was just so aggressively mediocre. It feels super floaty, the models of the characters don't look right. Balancing is awful, but like seriously, Aku and the Powerpuff Girls in this game make Brawl Meta Knight look like, well, Meta Knight in the rest of the series. But the biggest problem with this game is the roster that they picked. I know it's hard to whittle down the vast catalog of CN characters to only 26, but come on, you could do way better. 2 versions of Ben 10, some popular shows getting no representation whatsoever, the freaking toilet supervillain from Kids Next Door. The roster for this game is a mess, but you know, it's been a decade since this game came out. Cartoon Network has continued to produce great shows and also the Powerpuff Girls reboot. So I feel like, as a fan of Smash and animation, I should try to revisit this concept and hopefully get a roster of characters that can satisfy everyone. Maybe. And just never satisfy it. Before we get into this though, some ground rules. Cartoon Network has, no exaggeration, 1,000,000 characters to pick from. So we gotta cut down some to make this more manageable. First rule, any show can have up to 3 reps maximum. Some secondary characters are popular enough to include, but so I don't overrepresent any show, I'm sticking to that. 2, no characters from shows Cartoon Network has not directly made or owns. That means no Teen Titans, anime characters, imported shows like Total Drama or Johnny Test. Please contain your tears. Third, I'm sticking to Cartoon Network only. No Adult Swim. Samurai Jack gets a pass because it started in CN and it was in the last game. Fourth, just for ease, I'm going to base this directly off of Smash's gameplay. I know the original game wasn't just a Smash clone, but come on, everyone both knows Smash better, and it's going to be called a Smash clone anyways, might as well just embrace it. And it's not like this game is actually going to ever be made. And finally, how many characters are going to be in this? Well, the last one had 26, so I feel like 35 is a pretty reasonable amount of characters to add. I wrote down 50. It's overkill, but come on, there's so many good characters in Cartoon Network I really wanted to include. I will make a more manageable roster at the end of this video, but as for now, we're talking 50 characters. Oh, and 2 more little notes. First, I won't be diving deep into every character, just a basic overview of how I think they play, along with some other things. And also, no, I don't think this will ever happen. It's been so long since the last game. I don't know who would develop this. I'm just doing this for fun. Oh, and before we get into this video like proper, I should say this video would be a bit more, I don't want to say serious, I guess, but less jokey than most of my other stuff. It was hard to make a good, like, funny script while also mentioning, like, how I feel like these characters would work in a fighting game. So, yeah, this is less of a jokey video and more of just a, I don't want to say serious because it's freaking Cartoon Network, but yeah, I will try to be a meme lord when I can, but know that this is mostly just me trying to seriously analyze a game that'll never exist. Anyways, yeah, on to the actual roster. Anyways, let's get on to the list. This will go in order of the show's release, starting with Dexter. For the longest time, Dexter was the face of Cartoon Network, and he was in the last game, so he's a shoo-in. I feel like he'd be rather light. I can kind of see him being like the Mario of this game. Easy to understand and play. He relies mostly on his invention to fight with no real major gimmicks. His final move would be a robot, and it would appear in the background as he fires 3 missiles. Think like snakes, but weaker. Dexter, I feel like, is popular enough to have a second rep, and I was going to give it to Mandark, but he'd probably just be a Dexter clone, so I'm going to go with Monkey. He was also in the last game, so that helped. He'd be one of the fastest characters in the game, but also a lot of moves that take time to charge. He'd have things like lasers, throwing a banana, a jetpack. Basically, he's Diddy Kong, but better. Also, he could have ults that reference Colors of Justice Friends, and one where he's not wearing the outfit. After that would be Johnny Bravo. The thing with Johnny in the show is that he thinks he's the coolest thing alive when he's a gigantic loser. I want to carry that into here. Have him kind of be like Incineroar. Hit super hard, but also taunt after every successful attack. He'd use his comb as weapon, throwing it like a boomerang, but he'd fail to catch it. I feel like his side special would be him trying to do something cool, but he trips and falls on his face. Bootman Johnny would be his final, acting like Wario Man. And of course, Doom the Monkey has to be a taunt. Cow and Chicken is a kind of weird show, but like people know it, but no one really talks about it. They do deserve a character though. And while the main characters wouldn't make sense, the most popular thing about the show is the villain, Red Guy. So he's who I'm gonna give this spot to. You can really do whatever you want with this dude. He has some fire attacks, his other special would be a teleport, but really just make him weird. He'd probably attack with his butt a lot because this is the 90s and they really like butts for some reason. I don't know, it probably was a bad video to make. Next would be the Powerpuff Girls. This is one of the original's biggest mistakes. Not only are the girls in this game broken beyond belief, but for some godforsaken reason, they're separate characters. Why? They're just palette swaps with each other, so just make them alts here. It really doesn't matter who the main is, as long as they're all alts. For Rowdy Rough Boys to be an alt as well, along with one that resembles Bunny, and another that resembles Bliss from the reboot. I hate that show, but it does deserve some sort of reference. Also, I'm trying to keep it to 8 alts, because that's what Smash does, but to make it fair, you could have a 9th that referenced Dynamo. Since we have the girls in one slot, that frees up room for 2 of the villains, which obviously would have to go to Mojo Jojo and him. Mojo would be a mix of technology and physical strikes. His final would be him going into Berserk mode and just annihilating anything he comes in contact with. As for him, I feel like he'd be the trickiest to play as. A lot of slow yet strong moves, teleportation, just a lot to mess with your opponent's mind. Maybe give him an attack that gives status effects to enemies. Also when you hit him to kick, so we get some of that glorious leg work in work. I can't script well. Now, there was a lot of missed opportunities in the first game, but the 2 most baffling exclusions were Ed, Edd n Eddy and Courage. For 2 of Cartoon Network's biggest shows, I have no idea how they didn't make it. I'm gonna rectify that. First is the Eds. Ed would be the main one, throwing around his enemies, throwing jawbreakers like bowling balls. Double D would appear in his aerials. He'd be brought out by Ed, and he would freak out because he just does not want to be there. And then Eddie would appear and grabs, punching the opponent as Ed holds them, finishing them with some sort of scam backfiring them. Now, the Eds were kind of hard to include since they're 3-1. Maybe that's why they weren't in the first game. But Courage, he's perfect for this game. One of the lightest characters, Courage would be a long-range fighter, because he just does not want to deal with any of his opponent's shenanigans. Some attacks would include smashing things with items he pulls from hammer space, shape-shifting Godzilla and breathing fire, an attack where he screams, acting like a giant wind box, blowing everyone away. For his final smash, it's a cutscene where he and his enemies are in Courage's house, surrounded by villains in the show. Courage runs out leaving a bomb in the house, which explodes and causes massive damage. Courage, I feel like, deserves another rep. And I also really want to beat up Satan as an old guy, so Eustace is going to fight here. He would of course use his trusty mallet, but also have an attack where he pulls out his mask and does the in the intro. All of your tiles are reflected when he does this. His up special would be sitting in a chair which is launched upward, which he doesn't leave until he lands on the ground, because there's no way he's sitting out of that chair. His final smash would involve him getting a ginormous mallet and smashing everything with it, like Phoenix Wright Super and Marvel vs. Capcom. This is an instant kill. Samurai Jack, I'm not really sure. I love him as a character, but he doesn't really do much besides sword stuff. He could have an alt based on a Season 5 design though. But Aku would be fun. He's a shapeshifter, so all of his specials would reference that. His neutral special would have him breathing fire as a dragon, up would be him turning into a bat as he flies into a corkscrew motion, down would be him turning into an octopus, which shoots a laser, and his side would turn him into a giant goat and runs forward. Also, the last game made a lot of mistakes, but this alt needs to return. Here's a fun fact, Billy and Mandy was actually once a show with 2 segments. One called Evil Con Carne, starring, well, Evil Con Carne. I could see him almost like Snake. I mean, they're basically the same, just look at them. Where he would rely on traps and setups rather than straight up fighting. But we could do that as well, since, you know, fair. As for the Grim part of Grim Evil, there's, well, Grim. Most of his attacks rely on his scythe, with his specials relying on magic and creating portals. His Sound Smash would be playing music so bad that it caused everyone around him to take damage. Then there's the other half, Billy and Mandy. They fight like ice climbers, though you can't separate them. Mandy would be the more physical of the duo, with Billy doing most of the specials with all of his weirdness. Number 1 is probably the easiest to give a Smash moveset. Neutral is firing energy blasts from Scamp. Side is shooting out a bear with a bear hugger. That sounds super weird for people not familiar with the show. His up special is jet boots flying, and his down special temporarily freezes opponents in place with the Gomazuka. His also would be colors that resemble the other members of the KMD, not the kids themselves, just their colors. Think less like Bowser Jr. and more like Shulk. Also Jim Kennedy would be father. His father's form would be turning into a dragon as well. We then finally reached what was, for a time, my favorite Cartoon Network show, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. Mac and Blue would work like Billy and Mandy again, together, with Blue shifting into a lot of their moves. They could also whip out skateboards and paddle balls for some attacks. For the neutral special, Mac would bring out an egg, which would grab any projectile like Villager's pocket, then immediately throw the egg back. For his final smash, Mac gets sugar. Never give Mac sugar. Next is Juniper Lee. I forgot all about this show. She's got magic and martial arts, and she can do stuff with that. I don't remember the show at all. After that, it's Laszlo. Laszlo would be one of the fastest characters in the game, also one of the weakest. His 5 aerials could be him turning into the different letters of his name, and his final smash would be turning the stage over. If you're on the ground, it does nothing. If you're in the air, it's instant kill. Ben 10 had a lot of focus in the original game. For this one, I'd go with his kid design since that's more iconic, though a lot of his other forms could be alternate costumes. As for the moveset, I say have every one of his attacks be a different alien. Try to incorporate every one of them. Neutral could be Heat Blast, side could be Cannonball, down could be Forearms, up could be Jet Ray. Heck, make his run, jump, accelerate, and big chill respectively. Just have every attack be a different alien. Yes, I am only doing this like Chameleon in here. I will make Chameleon a thing, you cannot stop me. Oh yeah, and Alien X would obviously be the final smash. Now, Ben 10 is one of those shows I feel like deserves 3 characters, but the problem is there's 4 obvious picks. Ben, obviously, then I need to pick between Vilgax, Gwen, and Kevin. All of these I could logically see in the game, but Kevin's all the aliens gimmick is kind of already covered with Ben. And we do need more female characters and villains, so Gwen and Vilgax it is. Gwen would be based on her alien form design. Ever played Zelda in Smash Bros? That's literally what she would be. As for Vilgax, he'd be one of the physically strongest, but also slowest characters. He'd mostly rely on his sword, but I could see him having an attack where he briefly bulks up. Imagine all Shulks and Minatos at once, but it can only be used once per stock. Okay, as weird as this is to say, Chowder, of all characters, was probably the best represented in the original game. Using kimchi as a recovery. Throw in some cooking references and keep a naked Chowder costume to make everyone comfortable, and you're good. Your final smash would have him take the moon! Flapjack. 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 What do I do with Flapjack? It's times like these I'm glad the previous game existed. If it didn't, I'd have no idea what to do with Flapjack. Basically, you throw a lot of candy for his neutral, summon a boat for his side. Up would have him spin a candy cane upward like God does. And his down special could have him throw Bubby, a reference to this old CN Flash game. In his final smash, he'd get into a boat with Captain Knuckles, who promptly crashed it. So Adventure Time is next. It's a huge show for Cartoon Network. You could argue that not only did it save Cartoon Network, but Western animation as a whole. So of course, I've never seen it. I probably was not the best person to pick for making this video. To be fair though, I have this thing called research, and also just pop culture osmosis, so I could give a good moveset for the 3 characters picked for Adventure Time. Finn with a Jake, Ice King, and Marceline. Pretty easy to make a moveset for these guys regardless. Finn, swordplay, magic, Jake transforming, Marceline, music and bad stuff. Ice King uses a rocket launcher. No, you idiot, he uses ice. Boom. So apparently Generator Rex came after Adventure Time. For some reason I thought it was before, but whatever, shut up. He's easy. Neutral is Smack Hands, up a Doggy Pack, side with Big Fat Sword, down with Slam Cannon, final smash is Mega Nanite. No one remembers that it's Generator Rex. Mordecai is next, and he would be backed up by Rigby. Plot of your average regular episode is that it starts normal, but then it gets absolutely ridiculous at the end, and I want to adapt that into this moveset. Specials are pretty standard, but around 100%, their moveset changes to Death Kwando, boosting their strength massively. A second regular show rep was hard to pick from, since any of these guys would be a good pick, but I'm gonna go with Muscle Man, only so I can Trojan Horse in High Five Dose. He'd be a mostly physical fighter, with fire resistance for specials. Also, this would have to be a taunt, obviously. Gumball seems easy enough to make into a moveset. You can teleport, go Super Saiyan, shoot Hadoukens, and Style Smash will be summoning the console. Have Darwin appear in some attacks as well. Heck, have all the characters from the show appear in. This is the amazing world Gumball after all, might as well fit in as many as you can. So, again, I have not seen Adventure Time. But Uncle Grandpa, I've seen that, because I'm psychotic! As for the moveset, can you even make a moveset for Uncle Grandpa? Almost all the characters here are ridiculous and break the laws of physics, but Uncle Grandpa's power set changes every single episode. I don't think even I'm insane enough to make one for him. I mean, he's got a whole host of alternate costumes to pick from, but for moves, no clues. I'm sorry to disappoint the legions of Uncle Grandpa fans. Moving from a character who's near impossible to nail a moveset down to one that's pretty easy, Steven Universe. Let's do this. Neutral is Bubble Shield, basically a shield that we can held down infinitely, but it has major end lag, but renders you unable to move when you're in use. Side is shield to throw, exactly what it sounds like. Upward, you basically can weightless for a brief period of time. granting you extra jumps, making you the lightest character for a brief period. Then down special would be summoning Watermelon Steven. If you've played Waluigi in Smash Slash 2, it's basically the same thing as his down special. Final Smash would likely turn him into one of his many fusions. I'd say Smoky Quartz because it's one of the smaller ones. Though if you want to mash up versions, you could do Monster Steven. Honestly, I could see him splitting young Steven and old Steven into two characters like Ben was in the last game, but that's stupid. An alt referencing his older design could work though, alongside maybe colors referencing the gem that's transformed into Steven. As the second Steven character, the obvious thing would be the crystal gems, but I'm not going to do that. They all play so differently that it'd be hard to work them all together like the Eds. I don't think they'd do a Pokemon trainer thing. None of them are more important than the other to deserve a spot alone, and there's 3 of them, so I can't include them all, since I obviously also need to have Steven in there. But then there's the biggest reason I don't want to include these characters. Because this is my video, and if I want to include my favorite Cartoon Network character, I'm going to include my favorite Cartoon Network character. Paradox's second Steven Universe character. This chair is really squeaky. I need to get a new chair. Her standard moves would use the limb enhancers from when she was evil, but her special would use her metal manipulation. Like, this could be your up special, this would be your down special, and her final would either be the Gem Worship or Parabot. Not entirely sure about alts, but they could make one blue to reference Lapis. Okay, this next one is one I'm most proud of. When looking up other people's ideas for rosters, I see Wart and or Greg from Over the Garden Wall appear a lot. That is, in my professional opinion, stupid. They're completely feetless children. Let's have them fight a coup. Yeah, smart idea. No, instead, I'm going to suggest we add the Beast. Now, my idea for the Beast is this. He's the slowest character in the game. Like, he can only walk, he can't even run. He also only has a single jump, unlike everyone else who has at least 2. So you're probably thinking he's absolutely garbage, but that's when his moves come in. The Beast in the show isn't about straight up attacking. It's more so mind games, so I think that'll be reflected in his moveset. For his neutral, his eyes flash. Anyone directly in front of him have their controls temporarily reversed. His up special is kind of another teleport, kind of. It is in effect, but the way it's shown is the Beast completely disappears like smoke, something like this, but will then appear later on stage. His side special would have him turn into Beatrice's beefed up dog and jump forward, kind of like this. Yes, I know the Beast just corrupted the dog and didn't actually transform into it, but this is just for the moveset. Then there's his down special. In the show, Beast's main thing is turning victims into trees. In this, he'll seed his opponent, which acts kind of like the flower from Smash and slowly damages them. To remove this, simply just hit the Beast once. If you don't damage the Beast for, let's say 15 seconds though, you'll turn into a tree and you'll immediately die. Doesn't matter your percent or where you are on the stage, if you ignore the Beast, he will kill you. I feel like that's the best way to make the Beast playable. He's more calculating than outright powerful, and can be beaten easily if you know what to do, but if you don't take him seriously, he will destroy you without even trying. Throw in some strong standard moves with claws and then you're set. Also, one of his ults needs to be his true form. That's giving children nightmares. Moving on from that, the bears from We Bear Bears would all share one slot, with Ice Bear being the main one since he's the muscle. Though they'd all be available as ults. Basing on Ice Bear mostly, they'll have an axe, ninja stars, a Roomba, and the Final Smash would involve the bear stack in some way. Hello, welcome back to Stripe Talks about a show he does not know of. Except this time, it's one that no one cares about. Remember Mighty Magic Swords? Of course you don't. This is the second of the shows I haven't seen, and honestly I don't have much interest in it, so I'm not entirely sure what to do here. I know the main characters, I don't know how to pronounce here. I know the main characters, I don't know how to pronounce these characters' names. They use a bunch of swords, so they could use a different sword for every attack. This is basically a Smash game after all, and you need swords. Also, they'd be ult of each other. KO is basically Ryu, Sonic, and Goku combined, so that seems pretty easy enough. Lots of physical attacks and energy beams. Also have TKO with either an ult or the Final Smash. Then there's Craig from Craig Creek. Now, I love this show. Maybe not top 5 Cartoon Network shows, but definitely top 10. But I have no idea what to do with Craig. Like, he could beat up people with his staff, maybe bring in Kelsey or JP, but besides that, he's a kid, I don't know. Mao is pretty easily though. I feel like I've been saying that a lot. Anyways, most of his normal attacks would involve sword swings, his specials being Lunar Blast for neutral, sword spin for up, air recycle for side, and down to have him breathe fire like when he was sick. Now when looking for ideas for this video, I saw a lot of people suggesting Tulip as a playable character, which first I was against since she doesn't really seem like someone who I could see fighting, but I feel like we can make this work. The big thing with the Infinity Train is, well, the train. So I feel like instead of actually physically fighting, Tulip should summon a character from the train for every one of her attacks. And I also feel like to better represent the entire series, it can be every character from the show. Since I'm also going to have ults of the other characters from the show, Blake, Simon, Grace, Jesse, Ryan, Minji, and Randall in shape of a human. Let me have this one. An idea for the final smash could be the enemies appearing in the ball pit from Season 1, only for it to be destroyed by the steward. This leads me to the final show I haven't seen, Villainous. It's apparently like very short, so I might watch it later, but as for now, I haven't seen it. Anyways, he does seem to have a whole buttload of abilities: shadow manipulation, fire manipulation, shapeshifting, so that could be an easy way to bring in the rest of the cast. As for his final smash, apparently if someone says his real name, they die, so I feel like you just give his opponent a piece of paper that says his name, and they just read it and explode. So, that wraps up all the Cartoon Network characters. But I do want to throw in some guest characters. Nothing ridiculous, I feel like these are all possible. But if you remember in the last game, they had, for some godforsaken reason, Captain Planet. So you know what? If they're gonna put Captain Planet in the last game, I can do some ridiculous stuff as well. First off, bring back the Captain. He's hilarious. His moveset was perfect. 4 specials are the 4 elements, and his final smash is powers combined. Catapultia as an ult. That's perfect. It's beautiful. But we should also look at Cartoon Network before they were Cartoon Network. Or in other words, the Hanna-Barbera and Looney Tunes characters. For Looney Tunes, I'd bring in Bugs, Daffy, and Marvin. Bugs would have a move where he digs into the ground, maybe summon Taz for an attack reference to the Looney Tunes show, and have his final smash be just erasing the rest of the opponents from the fight. Daffy, who, fun fact, my phone autocorrected to Daddy, would be more physical, but also have a lot of explosions, bow and arrows, lasers, stuff like that. As for Marvin, he'd mostly use his gun, but I can also see him pulling out a bunch of other tech. And since they've been around for so long, all of them have a lot of ults they can pick from. As for Hanna-Barbera, the first one would be Scooby. Scooby needs a mechanic where he gets physically stronger after eating a Scooby snack. Also, probably make a mystery machine his final smash. And give him wrestling moves, because this exists apparently. Fred Flintstone would be the penultimate character. He mostly uses his club, but he can use his side special being a car, and his down special could be a bowling ball. His ults could be color swaps referencing the other characters in the Flintstones. He also have his one wrestling outfit from that one WWE crossover, because that exists apparently. Finally, the last character I would add is Tom Cat. Jerry would appear in a cameo in a lot of the attacks, but Tom is a star, using explosives, rockets, guns, really whatever he can find. His final smash, not really sure. Could be his muscle form, shooting lightning, bringing in a robot, running a train, just a frick ton of explosives. You could do a lot. You can't have her do wrestling, because he's the only one who doesn't have that. Which is why I said you can summon Willy Wonka! And there we go. 50 characters from a game that will never happen. Why did I do this? If you're curious why I left out certain shows like all of these, besides the reasons I said above, either due to lack of popularity, or because I feel like it'd be hard to get a good moveset for. Anyways, for the more likely 35 character roster, well, I didn't plan this, but if you remove all the characters from an audio-represented series, so these, you get exactly 35. So that works. Yeah, CN would likely double up on a few shows and franchises, and on a personal level, I lose a lot of my favorite characters, but hey, you can't make an omelet without hating your life. I don't think that's how the metaphor goes.